Something I just wanted to quickly point out in the Eel Deals bonus, in the beta version of the game, there was actually a box hidden right up here, if you jumped from on top of this stack of metal ones. It's pretty obvious to tell why it was removed, but trust me, that level of sadism will still be shown later in the game. I guess they just thought that it was too early for it now. Apparently there are some strategy guides that still mention that box. You know, when I was a kid, I thought this level was called Planet Food the first time I saw it, but no. It's obviously a reference to a certain type of enemy we see here, and there are a lot of them. As you can tell by the music, this is the third level, the third version of the... They call them sometimes the plant levels, I like to call them the river levels, the surfing dude levels, the wakeboard levels. There's a lot of different names for them. But anyway, yeah, this is the third version of that. There is also a timer gem here. Oh boy, that's going to give me a lot of trouble. But for now, we're actually going to care about boxes, because we can get the box gem in this level the first time we go through it. There's no way I was dodging that. Skim around the edge of that. There are some pretty tricky formations in this area, and yeah, we're going to have to go through it on a time limit later. Yeah, seriously, try doing this with a time limit. Oh boy, I'll get to that once we get to it. You can jump on the plants, by the way. And make sure you hit that TNT. I'm going to wait for that to blow up just before I go in the bonus, just because. I know it will probably blow up anyway, but I just want to be safe. Now, I think I remember this bonus actually being somewhat tricky. There is a life there. If you want it, make sure you get it before the TNTs blow up, because otherwise they will take the life with them. Wait, what was I thinking? This bonus is one of the easiest bonuses I've seen so far. That is a mercy compared to what's coming. Of course, you don't even need to do it if you're going for the timer. Back on the waterboard. And they've mixed waterboarding with plants, true to the level's name. Just weave around these plants. That one can be a bit tricky. Yeah, of course, that one got me. Good thing we had a mask. Get the crystal there. And this part is pure evil if you're going for the timer. This is pretty much the main reason why the timer in this level is so infamous. See all these plants here? Notice how the two plants up the top of this area were so close together that the only way to get past them is to damage boost? Unless you went and cleared them out beforehand, well, yeah. We'll be dealing with that later. Another plant, boost past it, that was close. Jump these nitros. And that's the box gem. See, that wasn't too hard. You ain't seen nothing yet. Because it's gonna be time, no pun intended, for the timer gem. And this is probably the one thing that gave me the most trouble in the entire game when I was younger. Oh, expect a lot of outtakes here. I'm not looking forward to this, let's go. To give you an idea of how bad this is, when I was younger, attempting this, I failed so many times that I started spawning into the level with a double mask. And I'm already spawning with a single mask this time, so that does not bode well. This timer challenge is extremely evil. There is a reason why it's so evil, admittedly, but yeah. I am going to damage boost here freely, because I just don't really care at this point. You really, if you have masks, damage boost as much as you possibly can. You will need it. Because what they want from you later on is absolutely sadistic. Thankfully, there is a mask in this segment, but the plants just love to eat it before the very end. Particularly this plant right here, which didn't get me, but the nitros did. Now, since I have a mask, I can do this the way they actually didn't intend for you to do. What they actually intended was for you to run all the way up there and clear out the plants, run back, get on the board, and keep going. But Okay, I feel bad that I did use Mask a lot there. That is the timer gem, and it's a colored one. Not clear. I've lost it by this point. You're gonna see lots of outtakes here, trust me. This is the thing that gave me the most trouble in the game as a kid. It gives me the most trouble now. This timer gem is pure evil, but it's done. Yeah. So, what they actually want from you at that very end point, if you don't have a mask, is you're meant to go all the way up that segment there, spin the 2 plants at the very top, go back to the board, and go past. It's completely insane. You have just... The timer is so harsh if you're just going for that. Anyway, though, that's actually 4 out of 5 colored gems. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and it feels really bizarre to, should I do one more level in this? I get the feeling the outtakes here could easily just be their own video in themselves. And yes, of course, the thumbnail for this level is that plant. I need to calm down after that. Look how many lives I had, well, actually, I mean, it's not that bad, but I had quite a few going in. Anyway, though. Farewell, Ripperoo save file icon. Welcome back to Crash 2. Last time, we don't even want to speak of last time. This time, we're going to be seeing the fruits of our efforts, because sooner or later is a level that, well, actually you don't need the yellow gem to get the box gem for it, but you do need it for a different gem. So, this is another sewer level. Back when I was a kid, some of my friends used to think these were submarine levels, but I used to say, you do see the name of this level, right? Anyway, we have a new enemy type here, these lab assistants with blowtorches. Do not try and run past them without a mask. They have absolutely enormous hitboxes. And I mean really enormous. So enormous that a tool-assisted speedrun can't get past all of them. They're that bad. Now, speaking of bad, this box formation is very annoying. Because, like I said, those platforms sink. Get out of the water, get out of the water. Let's just play it safe for a bit here. And let's continue to play it safe here. I do not like those boxes at all. They are very, very annoying. But we have a checkpoint with an Ooga Booga right on top of it, so every time we spawn in from there, we will... Oh, that rat hit me for some reason. Anyway, this is what we needed the yellow gem for. Like I said, there are no boxes in this gem path, but there is a clear gem. This is actually kind of a strange gem path for a certain reason. Here's where the spin to not bounce trick really comes in handy. The water here is always electrified. Do not wait for the electricity to go away, because it immediately comes back up again. And we have the gem already. So, most players immediately death warp here to keep the gem. I am going for fully finishing this area just to show it, so yeah. Oh, that guy's hitbox is kind of weird for spinning. You need to get rid of him quickly. That water is electrified, and it's often a very tricky jump to make that because it's a bit of a weird angle. Anyway, we've got a set of platforms moving in the permanently electrified water. Once again, I don't have to put myself through any of this, but I'm doing it for your sakes, and that's the end of that gem path. And it puts you further in the level, and we have to backtrack for some boxes, which is actually nearly impossible, so I'm going to death abuse now. For principle, though, I did finish that whole route in one go, so that's good. So, back to before that. And we keep our gem. While I do understand the point behind keeping your collectibles if you die, it does make some of the secret areas a bit weird in that they put the gems so close to the start. I wish they wouldn't do that. There's one in particular later in the game that I am a bit annoyed about because you barely get to see any of that secret area if you're 90% of players. Anyway, I don't want to speak too soon, but apart from that gem path, this level isn't that bad, really. This bonus, I remember this bonus has... it's not really too bad that much. So the hopping of the nitros can lead to things like that happening. I was just asking for that. Yeah. Usually I get through that area just fine, but if the nitros hop in a weird way, that can cause problems. Thankfully, masks do carry over into bonuses. Let's try and replenish some of those lives that I went through getting all of the, getting that timer gem before. So this area is kind of interesting. This is showing that you can spin enemies into the fan blades to slowly whittle them away. That fan is meant to be impossible to pass without a mask normally. You actually can. I've seen speedrunners get through that without using a mask while it's at full speed and at full segments. What you're meant to do is make use of these respawning enemies to slowly get rid of that fan. Kind of a strange gimmick thing. It doesn't really matter where the enemy hits in the general area, it's always going to hit the fan. Speaking of which, that enemy is very, very slow, specifically so that it will show off a major chain reaction if you spin it into those TNTs. Now here, we've got another one of the cases of, as my friends used to say when I was younger, follow the apples to get the crystal. But, heck, I didn't make the generic scream. Weird. But, this one is a bit more involved. It also requires some outline boxes, so I'm going to have to backtrack. Forgot about those outline boxes. There is a third mask in there, though. Yes, that's one, and then there's also the Nitro Exploder there. So, we're going to be going invincible, hopefully. Provided that we don't... I don't want to say it, provided that we don't hit the electric water. That was cutting it quite close. But we don't need to worry about electric water anymore. It still does slow you down quite a bit. It's a bit of a waste getting the invincibility after I've already cleared out most of the path, but hello there. Yeah, see, they even stop you while you're invincible. Like, you'll still beat them, but they will just... Like, you won't be able to... And there, you can see what happens when you jump in electric water while you're invincible. You make that weird "oh" sound and jump out. Anyway, though, that's the box gem and the gem path gem. But yeah, the hitboxes on those enemies are pretty crazy. So that's Sewer or Later completely done, and the next level I have to do is another one that might take a few attempts. Although, in all honesty, I actually find it a bit easier than Bear It. And we have another cutscene.
Crash! Thank goodness. I hacked into Cortex's computer and found detailed schematics for an improved Cortex Vortex and a suspicious-looking space station. I'm not sure what Cortex meant this time.
And, of course, it cuts out again. Weird thing about that conversation is I always thought the Cortex Vortex was the space station. But anyway, I'm actually going to save before this next level because there is something that we're going to need to immediately do after completing it. For reasons. So, it's save time. So it's time for another bear level. In a lot of ways, I actually don't consider this level as bad as Bear is. It has less box formations from hell, as I like to call them. I like how you start on top of these hills here. So it's time to enlist the help of Polar once again, only this time it's sunset. And that's an example of charge jumping, or polar launching as speedrunners like to call it. Yeah, polar launching everywhere is the fastest method of movement in these levels, so basically because you kind of cancel. There's a bit of lag at the end of a charge, but jumping cancels out of that. Anyway, some kind of tricky boxes are coming up here. As tends to be the case, they're on ice. And there we go. Also got a new enemy type here, these lab assistants that are hauling metal boxes. They're usually always in the same configuration every time you reach them, so it's generally not that bad to dodge them. We also have seals here. I don't think they ever showed up in Bear It. There's a bit of an interesting trick to those enemies that not a lot of people know about. In fact, even I didn't know about it until I started watching stuff from this game on YouTube. There's the crystal. More of these guys. Okay, there's a tricky box here, but I got it. Need to jump a little early to not get caught in midair by that box. hold right to slide and get those. Jump over some nitros here. Get that box. Don't hit the lab assistance directly, and we're already at the end. See, like I said, I actually consider this a bit easier than Barrett. Get this box, and there are only 2 nitros in this one. So, there's the box gem, but we're going back. You might have noticed something in the water while we were flying through the air. These platforms. Well, if you jump on the platforms, can be a little tricky with the camera sometimes, and land on this one, we get a warp. Of course, this is another secret exit. This is the one that I think the game expects you to go for first, because it's easily the most obvious out of all of them. And it leads to a portal to Air Crash. Yep, this is the reason why we couldn't get 100% of Air Crash on our first time going through the level. Because we needed to make use of a secret portal here. So, now we are caring about boxes in Air Crash, because we can get the box gem now. So yeah, we come to a secret area of Air Crash this time. We can do some tricky jumps across these bouncy boxes for lives, but really I don't care that much about lives at this point in the game. So let's move on. Annoyingly, Bear Down got rid of both my masks, so this is gonna get a little bit tricky. The suction of that whirlpool loves to pull you into the nitros. And I almost hit that. And yeah, getting that is a little tricky as well. And there are nitros over there. Cannot get sucked into that whirlpool, but by breaking those nitros, we hit the nitro exploder, which is the only way you can hit that in this level, and warp back out. And we're at the very start of the level now, so now we actually can work on the box gem. This should be looking pretty familiar to you. But this time we actually have to care about boxes, including the bonus, which we skipped the first time. Of course, we can skip out on the secret exit this time. If you didn't get the secret exit the first time, you can actually get the box gem, then death warp. Well, actually, you can't death warp back here, so scratch that, because you'd have to get checkpoints for the box gem, and you need later checkpoints. Anyway, though, pretty much same as we did before, only this time with 100% more caring about boxes. So let's grab the ones up on the ramps here. Let's do this one. And this actually is a lot easier than our first pass through the level, because this tricky formation of nitros is now gone, thanks to the nitro exploder. Don't want to squander it here by that stupid platform. So, like I said, we do need to complete the bonus this time, so let's go ahead and do that. This is a bit of an interesting bonus. This one opens up a path forward, this one has a regular box on it and opens up a path further forward. You actually can just simply jump over the outlines and go straight to the last one. The last one's really the only one you actually need, but, well, you need the boxes on top of the others, though. And, of course, belly flop on that one to make our box stairs. And then we come to this. This has actually got me a few times. I really hope I'm not jinxing it here. You want to be pretty far across here. Oh, just barely, yeah. That jump can be tricky sometimes. But the bonus is done. Thankfully, we don't actually need to go through the danger path this time. What we do need to do, which is dangerous, is to get this box. But Crash has a lot of control in midair, so it's actually not that bad. So let's jump over here, grab ourselves this, and ignore the danger path, because that would actually completely defeat the point of the box gem. Oh, yeah, I knew that was going to get me, but I wanted to risk it anyway. And here is a somewhat tricky part of the level. We actually need to slide jump onto these platforms. Now, there's a way that you can do this without doing this. You need to damage boost off of those mines. I'll talk about that once we get there, but for now, let's just go back and jump on the waterboard. So, the thing about the damage boost, you might have noticed, because I've hit mines quite a lot in this, if you hit a mine while you have a mask, it hops you up in the air a little bit. You can use that to hop on top of that rock formation and actually just glide over there on the waterboard and get those 4 boxes. That's a trick that speedrunners like to use, but here I kind of prefer doing it the legit way. This is a little tricky though. You've got to time this jump pretty carefully, otherwise you're likely to jump right on top of that mine. Grab that. And with 102 boxes, that should be everything. Yep, it is. Air Crash is finally done, and that means Warp Room 2 is completely finished. Like I said, that's usually the first secret entrance slash exit you find out about, because it's the most obvious. And yeah, I'll let the dance play for this one. With that, Warp Room 2 is completely finished. Now if we've got our percentage counter, we have 48%. Only one more gem and we'll actually have half the gems, which is pretty nice. So I'm going to go back to Warp Room 3, and next time we'll be taking on Road to Ruin. I find it quite a fun level, personally. Speedrunners hate it, and not so affectionately refer to it as Run is Ruined, but yeah, I do quite like that level a lot. To give you an idea of how bad this was, I attempted this so many times, and failed so many times when I was a kid, that I started spawning in with a double mask, and I think I've already failed, because the timer is still counting down at this point. Just be very careful, the center of those whirlpools, and there was no way I was getting through that, the center of those whirlpools will still... That was just a little bit off the angle. To give you an idea, I failed this timer challenge so many times. Whoa, I have never failed in that way before. I started spawning into this level with a double Ooga Booga. It was that bad. Oh yeah, I knew I wasn't going to make that jump. That I started spawning into the level with a double, and I'm not going to make that. But that plant just loves to take your mask. Okay, this is really bad. Because here we get to a point that is absolutely horrifying. Without a mask, you actually have to go up here and fall in the water and die. Yeah. So I started spawning into the level with a double mask, and that was almost close, but yeah, I knew I was not going to make that. I'm going to start with a mask next time, aren't I? Yep! And I seem to have started with... To give you an idea of how bad it is, and as you can see, I'm already spawning with a mask. I feel bad for going into this with the extra mask, but it's generally a good idea to bring extra masks in from the I can't afford to get that anymore. And I'm just going to damage boost there. And I'm just going to run into the nitro. They have absolutely enormous hitboxes. Do not try and get past... I knew I'd hit that. Not even a tool-assisted speedrun can get past most of them. It can get past some, but not all. That was not good. There's not as many box formations from hell in this one. There's really only... Okay, this one's kind of bad. And I miss one. Unfortunately, going to bear down got rid of all of my masks, so... I'm going to have to take this area the hard way. Get to hear this music again, though. Dang it.